Hello, my name is Suki Cookie, and today I'll be talking about the conspiracy theory of global warming. Now, um, the global warming is based on the global warming and the effects of global warming that we see every day. I've seen that online and seen everywhere that they've talked about conspiracy theory, I mean, global warming being conspiracy theory. So today I'm going to go through that. And also, this is my seventh video on conspiracy theories. I'll be doing my last conspiracy theory video, which will be based on flat Earth. But today, just basically just trying to connect all these together. So yeah, so today I'll be talking about global warming and what's the difference between global warming and climate change. So if you want me to go further with you or anything like that on this, please just research online a bit more about conspiracy theories on global warming. Global warming to me is something different to climate change, and we're actually affecting climate change and global warming is actually can happen at the same time. So I'm actually going to do the differences later, but at the moment I'm going to start with going through my first point. So number one, what is global warming? So, what I understand is that global warming is when the Earth's temperature rises. So that's the globe, and the globe is being called Earth, and that's the temperature rises when it gets really hot, from hotter than average temperatures. That's when it becomes global warming, and it takes effects and affects both the oceans and the atmosphere or the air around us, based on the temperature hikes, temperature rising. Meaning that if the temperature rises for the oceans and also our temperature in the atmosphere rises, we do have very bad effects and does affect us internally as humans and affect us externally, internally, and also the environment around us. As you can see that if the Earth warms up, then the water, or the oceans, like I said before, oceans could dry up. You get droughts. You get some some kind of inlays of water being dried up. So in some areas, um, lakes, and then you got some that may rise temperature and floods due to the effects and weather and what it caused. So some areas will be like quite cold and turning from snow to ice and water. So yeah, so air quality will be even hotter. So it'll be something like, I don't know if you've been to on a holiday somewhere like a desert. It will be like kind of that weather in somewhere in that where it's like basically 30 degrees, 20 degrees is the highest weather. So on this, relating to this will be something like climate change, and climate change as you might see temperatures. Some places will be temperatures low as seven, minus 7 or -10 degrees could increase to low temperatures of 5 degrees, as being the lowest. Um, in this increase, that will be the Earth warming up and the planet warming up in those areas, and rapidly changing that um, weather. So, and also we can see that in global warming, we sometimes do have abnormal weather in some areas, or rapid issues and rapid weather like storms. We could have, where, excuse me, whereas cold um, could have storms like hurricanes and everything because it's warming up. And you got the cold front with the El Ninos, which I'm going to talk about earlier, and floods appear where not expected. So that's why I'm saying that global warming can affect um, everything, even the polar ice caps and everything like that. Whereas ice could turn into water or rain. If you see that it was snowing one point, you might get rain if you do get anything like that. But in the UK, there's always rain. Rarely any snow. Well, there is snow. So back to so now point number to cause and effect of global warming. So cause and effect, what I'm saying is cause and effect being the most common causes of what I can see now is being global warming is based on fossil fuels being burned into the atmosphere, causing more CO2 to be produced than usual. That's increasing into temperatures, from a gradual hike to a gradual temperature which we can live on to and raised to an normal temperature. That I could see that increase of temperature actually happened. More of it happened and increased a lot in the 1800s, roughly in the 1800s, or maybe a bit earlier, or to the well, sorry, not a bit earlier, to the early 1900s or mid 1900s, where due to coal and fires being burned. So like when they were on, for example, you see that renewable or not renewable energies, but there were energies, and I think there were renewable energies. Um, we have energy like we have fossil fuels, we have fire and coals and everything like that. That was used in the old days for say like I said, the 1800s roughly, and now that actually in that time period we in the West were in industrial revolution. So you know, in the United Kingdom, the industrial revolution made the country, made the United Kingdom based on that, and that means changing industrial revolution. So you can research more about industrial revolution, but I know that more cars and more whatever was need to be built, modernizing, say kind of like cars, boats, ships, everything, planes, whatever was built in a factory or if it used a lot of coal, used a lot of fire, and burnt loads of wood. So and even we didn't have in the old days they don't weren't any radios. See, I grew up with radiators and grew up with I didn't see any forest fires. I mean, sorry, forest fires, wood burn fires or coal fires. So that's why mostly, yeah, that's what the main cause of the whole temperature. And then when you got the other issues, and you got, well, natural disasters and disasters. So now in the cause and effects, what is the most common issue or fatal instance that actually happened as an example that I know of and that I have researched was based on the 1952 Great Smog of London. So Great Smog of London, which they called London actually in those old days, in the 1950s and the old days, they used to call it the Big Smoke. You can research that. I've researched it myself. The Great Smog actually killed at least 12,000 people in the UK, in London itself, and actually it actually went out to other places where you could have smog filled places in the UK where they were burning and they were big, but it actually affected London. That's all I know on my bit was the thing. And in around about 1958, a legislation, law was passed. Legislation was passed due to making a change in the UK's kind of air and the cause of using fossil fuels and using coal and everything to burn for energy and everything like that. But we in the UK couldn't weren't allowed to do half the things, and we reduced the amount of coal and everything, carbon emissions used, which actually helped. And now in London, it is in the current year 2019, from 1950 to 2019. Now in 2019, we are actually in the UK in London. They actually got laws to for green gas, green um, energy, renewable energy, very good energy to be used um, to stop the cause of pollution and everything being rampant. But then we have to look at the east where they're having their industrial revolution and that they got the smog and they got all that. But somehow they are actually working on making a greener planet, making everything happen and everything hopefully okay. Now, on other causes and effects that's on the world are, for example, droughts in Africa, where droughts um, occur on high temperature, and where they had full bodies of water and lakes where animals can eat. Now the animals are dying in those areas, so that will be due to the high temperatures of global warming, and that's water evaporates, and that water would be evaporating, causing droughts, and mostly people are now going without water. And in the Western world, may I say, in my opinion, in the Western world, we are actually benefiting more than people who can't benefit with we don't have the benefit of clean water and safety water. But more needs to be done about it. I have to judge this. I will really want to say that more has to be done, and we are spending so much money on luxury things, like now. But if it was more people helping people, then we could live together in a world like this, a very nice world. But at the moment, I think more needs to be done. I think getting more, the rich and the powerful people to start spending some money on that. That is what is needed. So, and also based on high temperatures, more frequent, and also some areas in the US now actually have more frequent hurricanes. I was saying in the US or anywhere where hurricanes do occur. I don't want to be judging United States. I believe that they're saying somebody's saying global warming is causing more hurricanes to occur in the United States, but I think anywhere that has hurricanes, it's now affecting. It can affect Haiti. It can affect anyone, anyone. I'm not pointing one country. I'm pointing everything that has a, and to stop that'll be cause and effect global warming or climate change as well. So I'm going to talk about climate change later, but that will be a topic that I'll be talking about. So more hurricanes will be occurring in this climate. More heat waves do occur. So there'll be in Asia and South America. And more heat waves. Temperatures are getting hotter. I've seen Mexico getting on to like 40 degrees. I got friends who went out there in Mexico and it was like 40 degrees out here. Oh, too hot, too hot. But yeah, but that's the heat waves. And over here in the UK, it's becoming hotter and hotter. 30 degrees. We're going to 40. We're going to get high because that is global warming. Theory. That's a theory. People are saying that theories that could be ExxonMobil or could be somebody like Shell. People, all these guys are making money, and that's why global warming there is a con. People are actually, this is a defect on global. So we're getting all these cause and effects, and you got Shell, and you got all these energy companies, oil companies, BP. No, and now the governments are now saying, well, some people are saying, well, it's a fake, it's a con. You know, they're just saying that, but they're actually some of the research I found is saying some people are believing that there is a cause and effect of global warming based on those people, and I can't judge who can be. But the point is, if they're making more money, why can't they make renewable energies? So so money is going into this, going into their pockets rather than going into cleaner energy and cleaner fuels, and that's what I'm going to say on my final point on this. On the second point, final thing is that finally floods in areas where people have lived in large body ponds or lakes, and then flooding the banks, overflowing, and to the heat, the weather, and due to more water, rain, and everything wherever it's cold and mostly snows or something like that. And sometimes rains and stuff. So rain will be more frequent, and then in the global warming to cool down the earth. But then we got floods, and floods is different to droughts. So you got droughts where there's no water or less water coming, and then you got more water coming to where water doesn't appear. So then you got droughts, floods. So floods now are actually in the UK it's costing people a lot of money. Floods, so that's why. And then some areas in the US, flooding. Flooding overall does cost. Flooding overall does cost, but it costs people more for the stuff they have to be replaced than a flood barrier. We need more, spend more, save more money. The government needs to spend money on flood barriers and anything that can help people survive in floods. Some people do die and some people become injured. So that's point number two. So number three, global warming versus climate change. So earlier I said about climate change. What I said about climate change was that we have climate change, and we have basically uh, climate change being the effect and the cause of global warming, and they're both similar, and I spoke to them earlier. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak about the first couple of points about what is global warming and what's the difference between global warming and what's the difference between climate change. So global warming, I'm going to give you some points on global warming, and I'm going to now do that now. So global warming. So global warming is basically the global temperature rising about above average or average temperature that affects the atmosphere. So that's the first bit. That's global warming. Now, the difference is, what is climate change? Now, climate change is when Earth's um, activity and our Earth's somehow climate changes um, due to being a long-term effect due to climate change. So you could go for 10 years, as I'm going to talk to you about now. The time scale of global warming. Global warming's time scale can depend on years to decades, as there could be the highest or lowest temperatures. So one decade we might have like in the 2010s where it will be pretty high, so it'll be 15 degrees as well as temperature. Probably in the 2000s it was before that 10 degrees. It's a set temperature every time, so that will be going through decades and years, and sometimes one year will be fluctuating, one year won't. So that's what I'm saying on global warming. Now climate change, the difference with climate change. This could last at least years to millennia, based on the climate system or the current climate we're in now. So depending on how many fossils fuels are burned and everything like that, whatever affects the climate to change rapidly, that would affect the term. So it'd be millennium. Millennium meaning like long time, because you might have somebody going, yeah, we're gonna be burning this fire every time, through the years, and then that's it. That's gonna affect the climate. Global warming. Global warming could be caused by, or can be caused by, the increase of CO2 above or double the limits of CO2. So now we got CO2 being taken in by trees, but then we don't have much trees because of due to deforestation. There's not enough trees. So what do you need to do? We got above average CO2 levels. So it's doubling the limit of CO2 levels. So that's global warming on that bit. That's the third point of climate. Now the third point for climate change is this could be caused by the air by energy of from the sun. Majority, some people, so majority of the sun could be more of a barrier. I mean, more of a cause for global climate change, being increased, and can affect the Earth's climate. So as you know, the Earth might be a bit warming up now. The ozone there is thickening. It's going thin, thin, thin. It's going thin. It's thinning. It's going down. It's going down. Oh, we got sun radiation coming down, burning up the energies. That's going to be that. So that's what I mean. The sun energy from the sun could affect the global. So that's another thing, and that means more radiation, more everything, and increase of the yes, increase of global warming and global climate change. So they will change the climate. So wherever it's cold turns to hot, wherever it's hot turns to cold. You know what I mean? So yeah. So now global warming mostly introduced and increased during the 1800s due to industrial revolution and bringing in fossils and burning fossil fuels. So that is why, so mostly fossil, fo- uh, fossil fuels were burned due to the rapid rate of industry and industrial revolution, burning fuels, and doing energy, coal, everything, mass production, everything, and then it just rises and rises the global temperature, and it all based on what happens. Um, that's another point. That's number four for the point four on that list, and then with climate change, weather effects that could be less frequent to different that can affect different climates around the world. Example: El Nino. El Nino effect could happen down anywhere, so it's where it's cold, warm, and just mixturing that. That's an example of El Nino, and then you might have some places where it was cold during some peak periods or some winter periods, but now from minus temperatures to positive temperatures, melting the ice caps, melting everything. So that's where it's time. Now the targets that's plus climate change, but now targeting global warming. What it targets mostly is the atmosphere, so the air and the air pollution and heating up of the air. So that's heating through the global warming, so when the warm globe, and then the targets for climate change. So climate change targets are the areas such as the atmosphere, so air, hydrosphere, the water, and cryosphere and lithosphere. So cryosphere is more the ice. So it affects everything really. So it's affecting the air we breathe, affecting the water. That's when it warms up or cools down. More of the water being, and then cryosphere. I mean ice and everything like that. Lithosphere we've got looking more about. But that's the main targets. And then final 2 points I'm gonna put now for the list I've got here for global warming versus climate change. So global warming mainly is due to fossil fuels being burned, air pollution, destroying of rainforests, and others basic structures for absorbing O2 as be CO2 has now been demolished, and that there's loads of extra carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. That's what it is. And now, finally, for the climate change, people using aerosols or anything to break any pollutants to break down the ozone layer, which means more sun radiation, more everything heating up the earth, more pollution, air pollution that could affect people and the temperature of the planet will rise. So that's what I've got on my side for global warming and how what conspiracies do of this is that so we're using aerosols, so people are now buying aerosol kind of cans, anything with aerosols. Those companies are making money for that. But some people are saying no, it's not. It's what we do for a living. It's what we do. But then who's making money? The rich are making money, and the poor is getting poorer. That's all I'm getting at the end. So now number four on the all the topics basically blame and claim. So what's the blames and claims? So who is to blame and who is to blame is based on two both the global warming and climate change. I would like to say that mostly ourselves are to blame for burning fossil fuels, using aerosols for deodorants and spraying, and also um, cutting down the rainforest is another thing, and how we can how we basically spending so much time and so much effort on ourselves and on the people who we spend money to give to, say Shell or Exxon Mobil, and we're giving all these kind of pollutants and all these, and people dumping stuff in the rivers and stuff like that. It's what we do as humans is doing the causing the problems, and that's what it says on half the people. But most of the people are saying it's all the big companies. But then when we call the big companies ourselves as humans, and those are the humans that are super rich. So yeah. But there are many people out there that blame, actually, yeah, corporate companies, as I said before, in the drilling masses and mass producing fossil fuels to be used in harmful substance for the environment that could affect the environment. So that is making money from what? For making I don't know, making the world worse on the climate change and the uh, kind of the global warming and climate change. So, who is to who claims to do it? So, superpower states and developed countries are actually uh, producing a lot more CO2 than into the atmosphere than developing countries and less developed countries, um, due to more production of oils and petroleum and refining oils and all burning CO2, burning fires, burning everything, using cars, using cranes, using everything, and everything like that, using less clean energy, less everything. So I believe that this could harm listeners and notable officials, such as I found out, David Miliband has said that, due to conspiracy theories and due to everything, he's actually written, as I can quote, and he's been been an activist as well, and been trying to reduce it, but then yet he goes and says that, I don't want to be saying by word, but I know that by he's saying that there will be people that with conspiracy theories based on conspiracy theories or conspiracies based on theories. That's what he says, but yeah, he still spends time. I know that I see him spending time. He is a good man, trying to tackle the issues with global warming. I see him done that before in the UK, and may I say, David Miliband, you are actually doing very well. I'm not trying to cause no qualms with you, but I know that you are doing well. But I didn't want to really want to say that quote out loud, but but it is something that I wanted to endorse. Um, but mostly to blame are the big companies and ourselves, due to causing pollution in the air. Now, point number five, and this is my final point, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. Is number five, funding and um, reduction. So what I mean is funding by who funds it is one thing. So we know that there's many people out there that are now funding both the use of fossil fuels and being able to spend more money onto burning atmospheres, such as ExxonMobil has been able to admit uh, that they are producing more um, fuels and everything, but they actually want to do something good about it. They will. These companies like Shell, they are working on hydro power, hydroelectric, hydro um, fuels, so which could help. And Greenpeace, who has evidence on ExxonMobil, um, you know, creating and not caring about the environment. Greenpeace and all these other companies that are looking at um, all these environmental agencies, um, them themselves are actually um, making the problems worse. May I say why? It's just that you're actually using. See, I went to a rally one time where they are actually using a van which is using gas. Sorry, petrol, burning that into the environment. So is that kind of Greenpeace? You could have just cycled. You could have used public instead of public transport. Could have used something that's less kind of fossil fuel burning and more kind of hydroelectric kind of electric hybrid kind of cars. So everything like that. So that's my opinion on that. So don't anyone getting upset. However, there was funding a reduction. So funding countries are now funding and preventing gases and fossil fuels from being burned, and now we're going to use petrol for hydroelectric and hydro electric cars. But now they're using electricity. Now they're moving away from that and now moving into hydroelectric hybrid cars. People are now buying hybrid cars. People are now buying this. Now people buying electric cars, and they are actually technology is improving. Within Europe and UK, due to the improvements, we're gonna be should be getting electric cars and hybrid cars made uh, compulsory by 2020s. by the 2020s, and that now there's congestion charge now used in London, and some areas are using congestion charge and everything. And more societies and people are now planting more trees and planting more, actually funding the production of new cars, new boats, new technologies that can be used for hydroelectric. Um, Societies are now working together with people, and now our Earth is getting worse and worse. They are looking to um, get everyone involved. Big companies now they're trying to make money, which they're always doing. They're making more money, but we're going to be affected. That's the problem. But the one is, we're actually going to have to collaborate both of them together, and it's slowly happening like that in some areas, which I found out. But most of the time, it's hard trying to lock together. So if we all come together and stop this, that'll be good. So this is all of it's done. I've actually finished. This is my 7th video. Hopefully you guys like this one. My final conspiracy theory video is basically going to be done next. I know that you had some controversies with my MH17. Please do not take it too seriously. I am just doing conspiracy theories which are near enough suggested by my friends and suggested by people who are interested in conspiracy theories and went, yeah, we like your voice, we want you to write about conspiracy theories, and we have signed some, and I really do like these topics because they're actually something that I'm interested in. What would this be like, and what is my opinion, what is your opinion? I really want to know about your opinion. Please comment and subscribe if you're interested. My final video is for conspiracy videos is coming soon, and hopefully I'll do a kind of another video after that conspiracy video. That will be my basically what I'm gonna do and give you a quick update on what I'm doing. So my name is Suki Cookie, and at the moment now it's quite at night, but I'll let's say good evening, good day, and good night. Goodbye.